My wonderful brothers and sisters, it's another opportunity that the Lord has enabled us to be here. I tell you, at the beginning of 2026 in this country, there are so many things that are happening, which actually we are being warned that the spirituality of a people in this country is going down. Kenya, if you are a Christian and if you are also a Muslim and at one time you believe in a God, this is the moment you need to pray so hard. You need to pray seriously. You need to start taking things very seriously, especially prayers, because what is coming in this country, it is something so dangerous. And at one time I shared with people and I told them that in one of the books, these are actually sacred book, and I know a lot of mainstream Christians, they only believe in the Bible, but there are many other sacred writings that were written, and one of them is the Book of Mormon, which is a compilation of a testimony of the prophets that the Lord was dealing with in the Western Hemisphere. And in the Book of Mormon, it reveals that before the destruction of a kingdom, it was not only because of bad leadership. That every kingdom that was destroyed was not only because of bad leadership, but it was also because of the loss of the spirituality of people. That when people lost their spirituality, their morals actually were polluted. That is the time the Lord's wrath will fall upon the people, and the destruction was so imminent. And it is evident from the Bible. You can see in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, in the days of Noah, we can see it in the days of the children of Israel, how the Lord used to destroy them. And we can also see in the days of the Nephites, that is in the Book of Mormon, how the Lord ended up destroying all the Nephites to an extent that there is no one Nephite ever existed. No one Nephite ever existed was left, because the Lord dealt with them, all of them. And these are some of the clarion calls that we need to really understand and learn from. And that is why it is important for us to read our scriptures, so that we can learn from our forebearers, from the history of others who are here before us. And what we see in this country, there are things that are coming in which are not good. And as Apostle Paul said, that the love of money is the beginning of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. And there are people who are advocating of certain things because of money. And that is so serious. I want to share with you this discussion, my wonderful brothers and sisters, of a group of LGBTQ people and a group of pastors. And they were brought together to actually discuss on what exactly this is. Please listen to this discussion. Welcome.
I have the right to get married. Why are you discriminating me? I'm a believer. This is my church. I want to get married. Then they'll come and tell me as a pastor, no, why are you discriminating them? You cannot discriminate against sex.
Yeah.
That word will be misused. It has already been misused.
There was outrage when people thought that it was Christians. But where did the outrage go when they found out that it was a homosexual? Where was the outrage from the LGBTQ community when they found out that one of their own had murdered one of their own?
And something that I hear a lot is this conflating of queer people and protecting our children. And I think we need to be mindful of the words we say, as if we are saying that a queer person just existing is a threat to children.
No one should have the right in this society to say, you want to sleep with my child and I have nothing to say about it, because it is enshrined in law? No, we will not open that door. Why? Our children need to be protected.
As a queer person, I'm not responsible for coming to your home and telling you, Pastor T, this program airs this, don't show your child. That is not my responsibility. That will be as much as me imposing in your home and how you run your things. But why is then the problem transferred to LGBTQ people?
A lot of these stories come from the church, where when they ask somebody what happens to them, somebody who is gay, they ask what happened to them, and it's because they were abused and all these things. So now it is almost like corrective. I was raped by a woman. I didn't become gay.
Mimi nitamaliza tu kuongea na Mbogia Kenya. Hizi ni siku za mwisho. Mwenye ana macho tu anacheki. Hizi ni pole so ni hivyo na musema hivi, wale wameamua kuwa malele na wale wameamua kuwa mage, waipige fiti. Lakini wasikuje church watuambie ni tunatisi.
Release, I had some concerns with the last conversation, and I'm hoping that here today we can have a broader one and really unpack. Are there things that we misunderstood that we'd like to understand today?
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Handles?
So I'm not super active on socials, but I'm not on TikTok and everything like Mary-Liz.
Yes.
Of course, she's a radical activist, and I appreciate that. But I can be reached on email, ekalevera@yahoo.com.
Okay.
And I'm fairly responsive on email.
All right, that's wonderful. Yeah. Pasi?
Yes, Pastor T Mwangi. Now people are using the word radical. I'm a radical believer, follower of the Bible, and a preacher of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Yeah. I'm passionate. I'm a father. Allow me not to sit just as a pastor. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people tend to weaponize religion.
Yes.
So I'm a father with a daughter and a boy, mm-hmm. and I'm an activist to live a Kenya where they can grow in terms of values.
Yes.
Yes.
You come highly recommended on the comment section, Pastor. I like, sometimes when they ask me to do something, I like doing it because they are the consumers of our product. Na tumetoka mbali. So for everyone that requested for Pastor T, there he goes. Asante sana. I know nimekusumbua sana, but thank you for always honoring my request.
It's a blessing.
Anytime I ask you to be part of the conversation. You know they say energy is energy. Karibu sana.
Yeah.
Yes. Handles.
Pastor T Mwangi everywhere. Pastor T Mwangi, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. T Mwangi.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, awesome. So my name is Tim Simon Bambu Kimani, former Msanii artist. I'm an author, also businessman, husband to Erica Kimani, and father of two very beautiful children, a boy and a girl. I'm a Bible activist, but I wasn't always one. I was a hip hop head. I grew up in the US, so I was, hip hop was ingrained in my blood. I have a history in Hollywood, so I think I'll be kind of bringing a bit of that perspective. I'm an author also of the book The Truth About Money.
Yes.
And I need to give all you guys a free copy, by the way.
Give us money. Give us money. Give us the money.
I might do that too.
Stop it! I'm all here for the money. Stop it!
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, by the way. It's an honor to be here. And I converted to Christianity when I found out, what's really going on in Hollywood, and how it's such a demonic, satanic agenda that's bigger than, just giftings and talents and whatever we were passionate about. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about us. It was bigger than us. So, I come from that background.
Yes.
So, yes.
Really nice to have you. I was just telling him earlier, I have looked for this man for so long, and I kept saying, when time is right, God makes everything beautiful. So welcome, and thank you so much for making time.
How was your fun growing up? So now I'm here wondering, that's where you disappeared. Because I'm trying to remember your song that I knew word for word, and feel like,
which one is that?
I'm trying to remember the title.
Okay, no, you wouldn't.
Eventually we would, because YouTube is right here.
Yes.
You can search Bamboo and I can tell you which song that is.
Yeah.
So like, let's be done here. But like,
Good.
I wouldn't even have known it was you before you introduced yourself.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I've always wondered where you went to, but also like, I mean, just
Yeah,
because
it
you're
is.
a celebrity or doesn't mean we're entitled to where you are and all that kind of stuff. So just like appreciating that. So hearing that, I'm like, oh,
Bamboo. Yes.
that's where you went to.
Yeah. Karibu
Yeah,
sana.
I remember the
Yes.
song
My man.
Bamboo.
Yeah.
Oscillate, compare, those are the things. But I thank God that he gave his life to Christ, which is good.
My name is Onyango Otieno. I'm also known as Rix. It's my stage name. I'm a writer, I'm a poet, I'm a mental health activist. I work with sexually abused boys and men in a safe space for them. I use storytelling for healing and connection, especially in regards to conversations around sexuality, masculinity, and childhood trauma.
Okay.
As somebody who grew up in a very violent home, and the many traumas that came out of that, and having to understand how there's so much violence in our culture that ends up informing even how we see life, how we behave, how we parent, how we do all these things, how we show up in relationships. I felt as a creative, as an artist, as an activist, my work is to go deep into the places my society does not understand and create a language so that I can make people understand in their consciousness that we are so much more than how we were taught to be in many aspects of life, but also to enable us to be more curious about the human experience beyond what we always have thought is right, you know. Yeah, so I write also a lot about sex because it's a subject that has been, you know,
Yes.
and for me, I got to a place in my life and I asked myself, why am I fearing? Why am I living in fear? And why is it that I'm not even being taught to even love my own body, you know? So I love having these bold conversations,
Yeah.
and I guess with the first time when you put out the video on Instagram,
Yes.
I did share my comments there, and I mean, it solicited a lot of conversation as well. And you know, it's a beautiful day that I'm here. I
Yes.
must also say I grew up as a really staunch fan of Bamboo and Pastor T as well.
Yes.
Like I think early 2010 those years.
Yeah.
And so it's just appreciative of their gifts for what they're doing also with their lives.
Okay.
And thank you.
Yes.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
And thank you for honoring the request to be part of this conversation. I realize I've forgotten to ask what your handles are. So
Oh, yes.
maybe you can give us your handles, then Bamboo can give us his handles.
Rix Poet on Instagram and
Yes.
Twitter. That's RIX Poet. Onyango Otieno, LinkedIn, Facebook.
Okay.
Yes, so on Twitter it's The Real Bamboo.
Yeah.
And Instagram it's Bamboo the Hip Hop Prophet.
Yes.
Yeah, and on YouTube you can find us at Life is Spiritual.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
doing
the name.
great work there with
Thank you.
your lady.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
consume the content, so thank you so much, guys. I want to get straight into the conversation of the day. Pastor T, you have introduced yourself as a radical man of God, a father and a husband. What is your stand on the LGBTQ community?
When I got born again, I identified with the kingdom, which is the kingdom of light. Finally, fully dictated by the scriptures. When you say you are born again, you are mandated to obey what is written. Jesus said, them that love me obey my word. And the scripture stand is very clear. God created a man and a woman, and the union should be between a man and a woman for prosperity, for children, for godly seed, and that is the engagement. So my stand is the stand of the Bible, because I'm first a believer before anything else, and that's the stand of the Bible. And it's very clear also prophetically in the book of Luke chapter number 17 from verse 26 going on, when Jesus gave the predictions of the second coming. We need to get clearly the Bible is one of the undisputed prophetic book. Even secular writers and readers will tell you, when you read these prophecies, predictions, if they want to call that, it's very clear. He spoke as it was. Two scenarios, the days of Noah and the days of Lot. Now, the first scenario of what we might consider LGBTQ scenario is in the book of Genesis chapter number 19, where a whole community was gay, and the angels get in that community and the men want to sodomize them, hence the name Sodom and Gomorrah. And you know, judgment came, fire came. So when I do a diagnosis of that particular scenario, it creates a very prophetic environment of the time, the spirit, and the age we are living in. Because since the death of Jesus 2,000 years ago, we've never had a conversation of LGBTQ like now. So we must ask our question, why now? Why is it being funded? Why is it becoming so popular? Could we be dealing with something beyond logic, behavior, and deal with the spirit of the age? So I'll be here possibly to just have that conversation, give a spiritual view concerning the matter, and even engage even from an intellectual view. So my view is it's anti-God, and anything that is anti-God is paraphrased under what we call the anti-Christ spirit, which is an end-time spirit. Yeah.
All right. Antonina.
Yes.
What is your stand here?
My stand is, because your question was very specific about the LGBT community.
Yes.
And my take is, from having interacted with particular people, especially young people, who have gone through certain abusive realities, it made me research a little bit further to understand what is really happening. And you may remember, I usually make this statement a lot: step back and ask yourself what is really happening. So from a place of individuals, my take is that individuals who are broken and hurting and are in that space need to be rescued, need to be approached with compassion, need to be seen as victims or of something beyond them. And so the approach that I believe Jesus would have towards them is that one of, let's cover you, but let's get you sorted. Let's get you healed and whole. Let's have probably, if it is in a facility, or conversations that can get you out, because they're literally crying out for help. Nevertheless, in addition to that, I came to realize this is bigger. This is so much bigger.
It's bigger.
There is a systemic intention to change how families work, how marriages work. Behind it is a very diabolical agenda that is geared towards depopulation.
Wow.
And how do you emasculate and depopulate a people? It is, you go to that unit that brings forth and is entrusted with, procreation, and make sure that you turn things around.
Wow.
So that there is now a system, and this is what I have been an advocate for, that let's understand that even God is against that system. That system that gets people to abuse others so that they end up as victims, the first category that I talked about. This system where you will find people who are pro a certain agenda, but they themselves may not even be into it, because you will hear they're married, heterosexual marriages. You will hear they want to adopt babies, but they are pro a system that destroys the very idea and the very unit, the very safe, sacred unit where children should be brought forth, cared for, raised, and empowered. So that system is an enemy. And anyone who's watching this for the first time, I would encourage, revisiting the part 1, because Dr. Eda belabored the fact that this conversation wasn't there forever, all right? But beginning the 1960s, some people crafted and conjured up a conversation and determined, we will fund this, we will, we're going to be we're even going to go forceful so that we try change the laws of given lands. And really, that's why we're here. We're not here in 2022. Why? Because something happened in 2023, not very long ago, where the Supreme Court determined a certain judgment that got people who care about families and life agitated and concerned that why would you even revisit the Constitution to change certain terminology. So that is my two-pronged approach on this. And for the system, I have no kindness. It is to vehemently resist it and to call on anyone who cares for children, anyone who believes in family and values and virtues, calling on all African people to say this system is an enemy, and anyone who is oiling it, anyone who is funding it, anyone who is advocating it, they need to be called out and be done, confronted as much as possible. And this conversation in our laws, the legislative processes, whatever is happening in the courts, there shouldn't be activism towards that which we know, even as Kenyans, this is criminal.
Thank you. Bambo, what's your stand?
My stand is, like Pastor T said, is biblical. It is based on the scriptures, which were written over thousands of years. My stand is also from a background of the entertainment scene and the power of influence that music, entertainment, movies, series, and what have you has on the general public. As you know, from being an artist myself and an entertainer and a writer and a creator and a producer and an innovator, I understand the power that we wield as such, and we can create the kind of societies we want, literally. And so from a background of growing up in the United States and having had a very violent confrontation with homosexual people, guys, they actually beat me up when I was about 12 years old. And these are people who were probably 24, 25 years old, and I was just a young boy. But these gay guys beat me to a pulp. Like, I've never been beaten like that since that time till this day. And they actually broke my nose. Till this day, my nose has it. Can you see like a little bump on my nose? Yeah, it never quite healed properly. My heart healed, and as a Christian, I learned to forgive them. But the mark remained on my face as a reminder that this is not a gentle movement. They are not victims, and they are not gentle. They are extremely violent, and they will impose their will upon society, and they will stop at nothing. They are relentless, and the spirit behind it is evil.
Listen to that, and relate it with what Apostle Peter said, that the devil is moving like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. So it's not a joke. Some people think this thing is just joking around, and some think it's just about, getting funds here and there. This is something that will consume you. This is something that it will eat you. The devil does not joke.
Evil. It is dark. Now, people who practice it might not understand this. They've just been inducted, they've been introduced, they hang out with people who are gay, and they'll find that these non-governmental organizations will fund them. The Rockefeller Foundation will fund them. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will fund them. They have limitless amounts of money. They'll pour money into this. However, they also need to know that when they find out that you're sick, when they find out that you have HIV, they'll turn their backs on you and they'll abandon you. As I recovered from that, as I became a Christian, as I learned what the music industry and the entertainment industry is about in the United States of America. That it wasn't about our talent, it wasn't about our gifts, it wasn't about our ability to write great records. It was about, can we push fornication? Can we push sex to children? Can we get 14 and 15-year-olds to have sex so that they get pregnant, start taking, like Acheng said, start taking pills? Can we sell them? What do we call it? Can we sell them condoms? Can we sell them pills? Can we get them to have 5 or 6 abortions by the time they're 18 years old? If we can get more abortions out of them, we can get their fetuses. It's a nefarious industry. It is a ruthless cycle. It does not stop. So, my background is more, and even more so on the spiritual aspect of it, because life itself is spiritual. One of the things that you learn as a Christian and as a believer is that the physical world is dominated by spiritual influences. There is a spirit realm and there is a physical world. And oftentimes we as human beings interact with that spiritual realm through our dreams. We're able to see it. We're able to witness it in our dreams. When we wake up in the physical world, we say, wow, that was a crazy dream. But that was an indication of what is happening to you spiritually. And that's God's way of communicating with you. Oftentimes, He communicates through dreams. And so my background is that, more or less. And I think, Kenyans came to know me because of songs like Kompe. Guys came to know me.
That's the song.
Yeah. And so having released that music and gone back to the States, I grew up in the States. I came to Kenya when I was about 15. I went back to the States, worked in Hollywood. I got to interact with some of the biggest stars like Akon and just worked in what we call P1 cities, like in Atlanta. Those are cities that can influence the whole world in terms of music and culture. P1 cities is like New York, that can influence the whole world in terms of music and culture. Los Angeles is another one. I worked in all 3 cities. So I understand what this monster is and what it can become. I'm not against any people. I don't believe in being against people. I don't believe that any kind of violence should be done against any person because of their sexual orientation or because of what they believe or what have you. I don't believe that they should be denied rights because of their sexual orientation. I do believe in the rule of law, that people should all obey the rule of law, and that we should respect different cultures that come from different nations. But the spiritual aspect of this is that it will grow. What we're looking at in Kenya, it's in its baby stages. In America, it's a full-grown adult. And gay rights, it will go beyond just their right to associate. It will go beyond just their right to be recognized. It will go into, we are going to teach your children, we're going to put gay sex in children's books. We are going to cultivate a culture of confusion where a child does not know whether he's male or female. We are going to create more species, more genders. We are going to remove God vehemently out of culture completely. Their goal is to remove the thought and the memory of God, especially and specifically the name of Jesus, to remove it completely and replace it with an anti-Christ culture to prepare the world for the coming of a one world government and a one world leader who himself is also, according to Daniel 11:37, a homosexual. So what we're seeing is the ongoing movement and human progress toward that nefarious goal of gathering the entire world under a United Nations and one world government under one leader who is himself a homosexual and needs that energy to be in societies around the world so that he can rule.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Wow.
All right. Wow. Today everyone is calm. Okay. Yes. Should we go this way or you want to take it maybe here, Calabria?
Yeah, so my stand on LGBTQ rights is really to center the conversation in terms of human rights.
Yes.
I think there are very many things we can disagree on. Maybe I'm a Christian or I'm not, I'm a Muslim or I'm not, I'm Baha'i, I'm not, I'm a Jew, I'm not, I'm black or I'm white. But before we are any of these things, the one thing we can all agree on is that we are human first. And while I respect other people's religious views and religious inclinations, I am also very aware that sometimes these views and these inclinations lead to hateful words. Hateful words beget hateful actions. Hateful actions beget hateful mindsets, which beget hateful structures and then systems. And I've heard the word about like there's an agenda, that there's a push. And really, the thing that I see in terms of queer people, maybe their only agenda exists is that they want their full human rights and to be able to experience their full human rights. Bamboo, you have said that you have nothing against people exercising their rights. And in the same vein, you've said that, oh, the freedom of association right is just the beginning. So what I'm hearing people say is that we will deny you your rights because we are afraid of a thing that we have not yet seen. And I think we are constructing a lot around this agenda that really doesn't exist. And something that I hear a lot is this conflating of queer people and protecting our children. And I think we need to be mindful of the words we say, as if we are saying that a queer person just existing is a threat to children. And that is absolutely not true. Someone who abuses children because of their own proclivities, because of maybe something that happened in their past, because of maybe something that happened in their adulthood. But that does not mean that a queer person existing in the world in their fullness means that they are a threat to your child. And I think we need to push back against some of these falsehoods that are being spread, because they actually have a real impact on people's lives. Queer people are more likely to face physical violence, and I've heard your story about facing physical violence from queer people, but they did not attack you because they are queer people. They attacked you because they are maybe hateful people, because they had their own agenda, because they did not respect your humanity. So I think it comes back to respecting other people's humanity before we say we are different or we are the same. We are first of all humans. So to the Supreme Court ruling that you've just mentioned, that Supreme Court ruling was 10 years in the making. In the beginning, it was not ruled in the favor of the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission. But really, if you read the judgment, one of the things that the judges say is that this ruling is meant to protect the rights and freedoms of association under Article 36 of the Constitution. Really, that's it. You know, I know maybe for Christians, they would love a world where the Bible is the governing document for everything. But unfortunately, that is not the world that we live in currently. We live in a world where we are bound to coexist. And if we don't coexist, we shall destroy each other. So mine is not to say that if you're a Christian, you must do something or you must support the queer movement, but mine is to say, do you see that this is first and fundamentally a rights-based conversation, and that when you spread falsehoods about people being dangerous to children, you actually take yourself away from protecting children from the actual people who are dangerous to them. So if we are going to look at the systems and the bigger conversation, we need to look at the right place. And the right place is not saying, oh, if I limit your rights, then I will experience my full right. That's not how a society works. And a society that goes up.
Wow, you can see it will not be easy. I'm telling you, it will not be easy, because at times you discuss with people, these people, they do not have a spiritual eye. They don't have a spiritual eye at all. They argue like innocent people, law-abiding citizens. They argue like they really care. But I tell you, my friend, that is how the devil works. That is how the devil works. And I tend to concur with the Bamboo because he has seen it all. You know, this is a guy who has been in the States. He has seen this thing. He's seen it the way it works. But there are some of our fellow sisters here and brothers who only defend this organization simply because of the funding. Yes, simply because of the funding, but they don't know what they are really dealing with. So it's a wake-up call to all of us. It's a wake-up call to all of us. The beginning of the fall of a nation, it is when the spirituality of its people is compromised. That is what the Book of Mormon has taught me. when the spirituality of people is compromised, that leads to the uttermost destruction of a nation. And you will end up being ruled by other people. You will be ruled by other people. Look at what happened to Israel. Even up to now, that land still has foreigners in it. While you are arguing here, not knowing what exactly is becoming, it will befall you. Because those that have the Spirit of God, they are given the eyesight of an eagle. They can see far, and they can see what exactly can befall the children of men. But those who think that they are smart enough, they always lead their people into destruction. A nation is not only led by smart people. A nation is led by spiritually upright people. That is what makes a nation. Spiritually upright people. Not just smart, educated people. You can be educated, but you are not spiritually upright. Man, for those who want to see this conversation further, you can follow the channel of Lynn Ngugi. You can see all those conversations from part 1 and part 2. But this is a conversation that is already in Kenya right now. And what tells you is that this vice is already in the country. Cry the beloved country. This vice is already here. All we need to do is just to fear for our children, because once they start now taking away Bibles out of school because of their rights, we are in problems. Otherwise, thank you very much. God bless you. Looking forward to see you again next time.